Diabetes? I want to keep it real and talk about some risks. With type 2 diabetes, you have up to 4 times greater risk of stroke, heart attack, or death. Even at your A1C goal, you're still at risk, which if ignored could bring you here. May put you in one of those. Or even worse, too much? That's the point. Get real about your risks and do something about it. Talk to your healthcare provider about ways to lower your risk of stroke, heart attack, or death. Learn more at getrealaboutdiabetes.com.
Tomorrow on E.T., Donny Osmond gets retrospective.
Let's shock him.
Wait till you hear the stars he helped to get their big break.
I shouldn't be admitting this.
Happening now.
It's day 3 of the Mark Howerton murder retrial. The lead investigator on the case on the stand for 3 hours. What he says led to Howerton's arrest.
Looking at how much rain fell from the leftover thunderstorm activity that made it here, along with more storm chances in the forecast and NOAA's hurricane outlook. It's out. I'll see you in a bit.
Memorial Day weekend is the unofficial start to summer, and we know a lot of you are going to be out soaking up the rays at the pool, the beach, other outdoor activities. Don't forget your sunscreen. There are so many different choices out there to help protect your skin. We are going to tell you which ones are the best. The news at 5 starts right now.
First at 5, cash, marijuana, and blood. Just a few of the clues a Texas Ranger found in a car where a Trinity University sophomore took her last breath. He took the stand, but was challenged as to why he didn't more fully investigate another man who was seen with Kaylee Mandotti earlier in the day.
Eric Hernandez with that testimony, plus what else was found in the car that took her to the hospital.
Texas Ranger Raymond Benoit on the stand for 3 hours talking about what led to the arrest of now 27-year-old Mark Howerton. Howerton charged with killing his girlfriend Kaylee Mandotti on October 29, 2017. First, the jury saw what it looked like in Howerton's black Mercedes when it was being searched. Inside the front passenger seat, one of Mandotti's boots, some of her clothing, and a blood stain. Also inside the car, marijuana and a safe holding cash. It was during cross-examination that we really started to hear more about the investigation and Mandotti's ex-boyfriend, Jeff Burcham, who was also with Mandotti the day she died. Ranger Benoit knew she was with her ex-boyfriend the morning of October 29th, but later in the day went to the festival with Howerton. Burcham, in previous interviews, had said he saw them, but then gave several different accounts on what actually happened when they left. One account was that he saw Howerton forcefully grab Mandotti and put her in his car, but he later backtracked and said that didn't happen. Ranger Benoit says despite that lie, that at no time was Burcham ever a suspect in the case. Testimony in this trial will continue Friday morning and into next week. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
New at 5, a not guilty verdict has been handed down in the murder trial of Brandon J. Clark. A jury returning that decision just this afternoon. Clark on trial for the murder of Ramiro Longoria back in April of 2019. San Antonio police say that Clark and Longoria were playing a pickup basketball game when a deadly shooting took place. They got into an argument. Clark got a weapon and started apparently shooting at the crowd. Longoria was hit by the gunfire and died at the scene. 2 other people were injured as well.
Also new at 5, a man charged with multiple felonies, including murder, was sentenced to 30 years this morning. Angel Sanchez was convicted of the murder of his common-law wife during a police standoff. According to an arrest warrant, Sanchez was blamed for Nita Tiurina's death after he pointed a shotgun at SAPD officers who then opened fire. One of the bullets fired by the officers fatally wounded Tiurina. Her 3 children were also inside the apartment at the time, but not hurt. Sanchez was also charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault of a police officer. In court hearings this morning, per a plea deal, Sanchez pled guilty to all charges and was sentenced to 30 years. He is eligible for parole after serving half that time.
The search for a suspect who led them on a chase during the morning commute, leading deputies instead to a group of squatters. The initial incident was a chase that started near Petrenko Road just before 6 a.m. Deputies were trying to pull the driver of the green pickup truck over for a traffic stop, but he kept on going, speeding on the road up to 80 miles an hour at one point. The sheriff's office says that chase ended when the man driving the truck just bailed out on Westward Drive and ran off. Despite looking inside different apartments at the Westwood Plaza apartment complex, they weren't able to find him, but deputies did come across a group of people living there illegally. They were taken into custody, but the chase suspect has not been found.
And a two-vehicle crash sends a man to the hospital and another driver on the lam after San Antonio police say they sped away from the scene. That crash happened last night around 10:30 on Alamo Parkway at Jasmine Way, just outside of Loop 1604 on the west side. Officers say a driver hit another vehicle from behind and then took off. A 40-year-old man in the vehicle that was hit was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Police don't have a description of the suspect. The crash still under investigation.
Another day closer to hitting the U.S. debt ceiling limit. If Congress can't come to an agreement, Social Security checks, veteran benefits, and federal employee benefits paychecks could arrive later than normal. Unlike a government shutdown where the lawmakers can't agree on how money should be spent, reaching the debt ceiling means lawmakers will no longer have the money available to pay for some essential programs in their budget. The U.S. Treasury predicts that could happen in the coming weeks. Manick Dillon, the president of Victory Capital here in San Antonio, says, think about it like a credit card limit.
The amount of money that the government is authorized to borrow was hit. What that means now is they have to negotiate to raise that limit. And what that means is that once the government is out of the funds that they have, which the Treasury is estimating could be June 1st, maybe a couple of days later, and they're able to move some money around to navigate through that. But once that happens, they can't pay those bills unless they have more money to borrow.
Coming up at 6, what he says you should be doing right now to prepare for the financial uncertainty that lies ahead. Across America today, marking the 3 years since George Floyd's death on May 25th, 2020. Floyd was killed when a Minneapolis police officer, Derek Chauvin, placed his knee on Floyd's neck. The actual killing was caught on camera by bystanders who shouted at officers to stop. That incident sparking protests throughout the country. All 4 of the officers who took part in the fatal restraint of Floyd have now been convicted on both state and federal charges. Derek Chauvin was sentenced to more than 22 years in prison.
An Illinois man absolutely positively had to get to the airport, so he allegedly stole a backhoe to drive himself to the airport. Deputies were called to the Veterans Airport in southern Illinois last Thursday after a backhoe was found parked in the airport parking lot. The owner of the machine told law enforcement it was parked at a job site 10 miles away when it was stolen. Authorities pieced together what happened, saying the suspect drove the backhoe so he could catch a flight to Oregon. He was arrested this past Sunday in Nevada and is facing felony theft charges.
In Florida, a major sinkhole opening up in front of a store, halfway swallowing up that car. It happened in Ocala, about 80 miles southeast of Orlando. The sinkhole is 20 feet deep, around 30 feet wide. Public Works officials there say that rainstorms overwhelmed the drainage pipe, causing it to fail. A store in Central Florida could be closed for weeks after a hole opened up in its parking lot. Repair work to fix the hole is expected to finish up in mid-June.
American flags have been planted throughout Arlington National Cemetery in preparation for Memorial Day. About 260,000 flags adorn the headstones. Following today's Flags In ceremony, another 7,000 are along the rows of cremation niches. It takes about 4 hours to put in the flags with the help of more than 1,000 service members. Memorial Day is dedicated to those who have died serving in the U.S. military. According to the VA, they say decorating the graves of veterans has been a part of the commemoration since 1868.
And the stone of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial reflecting the light a little more today. It was washed by volunteers ahead of Memorial Day. Congressman and veteran Mike Waltz of Florida says he started this tribute 3 years ago as a reminder that freedom isn't free. Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts also helped with the cleaning. Moulton calls it a powerful sign of appreciation.
The unofficial start of the summer season kicks off this weekend. 42 million Americans expected to travel ahead of Memorial Day, and analysts say today will be the busiest day to get away.
ABC's Tim Pulliam says that we should expect a lot on the roads, but also in the skies.
Right now, travelers bracing for a busy Memorial Day weekend from the roads to the nation's airports.
A lot of traffic coming in, so I'm glad we're here early.
AAA estimates 42 million Americans are expected to get away for the holiday, 3.4 million of them flying. More people could mean more problems.
Oh, my bags are here.
2 people arrested at Chicago O'Hare baggage claim this week. And in Atlanta, at the world's busiest airport, police arrested a man they say randomly punched another passenger. Relax. Airport officials warning the need for more security with wild behavior on the rise. This comes just as the airline industry has been hit with so many staffing and weather issues. This travel weekend, the first big test. Transportation leaders say airlines have made significant improvements over the past few months, with more staffing and cancellations consistently under 2%.
The bottom line, we want everybody to have great travels this coming weekend and this summer. We're doing everything we can to press airlines to deliver that good service. And if there is an issue, we have your back.
And on the highways, 37 million Americans are expected to drive, according to AAA. That's a 6% jump from last year. Gas prices are looking good, too. The national average is now $3.57, down $1 from this time last year.
Today is the busiest travel day, but experts say if you're traveling Friday for the Memorial Day holiday, the best time to leave is in the morning or on Saturday or Sunday. Tim Pulliam, ABC News, Los Angeles.
All right, we just talked about it, and here's a look at your traffic authority. This is 410 at Jackson Keller, and yep, we already have a problem there. It looked like a couple of cars involved in an incident. They've got the cones out, and they've got the traffic moving over, and they got a traffic mess.
And we had the leftovers of a thunderstorm complex move our way and give us a few showers earlier today just west of San Antonio. You take a look at the big picture, and we got this complex of storms that developed overnight and early morning near Lubbock and even in northeastern New Mexico, then pushed southward. And we just got the tail end of this action. As we often talk about when we're in this northwesterly flow aloft, sometimes we get the leftovers of these West Texas, North Texas, and even New Mexico storm complexes. And that's what we have out there today. That's what we had. Really just a sprinkle or two left over Frio County and Atascosa County. But it did dump some good rain. That's nice. An area of 1 inch plus from Edwards County through Real County, even into northern Uvalde County. It was nice to see some of that needed rainfall, especially where we really need it up in the hill country. By the way, I'll be showing you the newest drought monitor coming up in a few minutes. Temperatures, some upper 70s underneath the clouds from that thunderstorm. Micah 77, Bernie 79. Meanwhile, Windcrest currently at 84. Quiet this evening, clearing out, temperatures falling through the 70s. NOAA's hurricane outlook for this season is in. We'll go over that, the new drought monitor, and weekend storm chances coming up.
Also coming up, staying safe in the sun this summer, a look at the different types of sunscreen available and which ones offer the best protection. Here is what we are working on for the news at 6. A Bexar County Sheriff's Lieutenant fired for being outside the U.S. Capitol building during the attack on January 6th has now raised ethical concerns about the person who ruled on her discipline case. In federal court filings, Lieutenant Roxanne Mathai provided evidence that third-party arbitrator Thomas Cipolla intended to defraud the court while he filed for bankruptcy in 2009. Mathai's attorney says these financial issues were not disclosed to them and may have impacted her case.
Would you have chosen him knowing what you know now about his history with the bankruptcy?
No, would not have.
Coming up on the news at 6, KSAT Investigates digs into the bankruptcy filing and what it could mean for area first responder discipline cases moving forward. A nationwide operation that's a first of its kind is helping multiple law enforcement agencies find and recover missing children across the country, including children from here in San Antonio. The local U.S. Marshal's Office walks us through the operation and reveals how many local kids have been found. And is there a better, greener way to use vacant land? A new report suggests there are thousands of acres in the city that could be used for urban agriculture. All that and more on the news at 6.
Summertime means soaking up some extra sunshine at the pool, the beach, or in the backyard. So it is time to stock up on your sunscreen.
12 on your sides. Marilyn Moritz shows us which ones protect the best.
Sunscreen, a pretty easy glop of prevention against skin cancer and early aging. But with so many out there, how do you choose?
We test sunscreens to see how well they protect against two types of the sun's rays, UVA and UVB, which cause aging, skin cancer, and sunburn.
Consumer Reports tested the SPF, or sun protection factor. That has to do with UVB rays. They tested the water resistance claims, simulated sunlight, and looked for redness. To test against UVA rays, they exposed plastic plates to UV light and measured the amount of rays absorbed. The one that worked the best had a perfect score. It's also a smart buy. Coppertone Water Babies Lotion SPF 50. But don't let the name throw you. It's not just for babies.
All of our top-rated sunscreens contain chemical active ingredients. In our tests over the years, we found that mineral sunscreens don't protect as well.
If you want a mineral or natural sunscreen, their tests found California Kids Super Sensitive Tinted Lotion SPF 30 provided acceptable protection. As important as which sunscreen is how you apply it. Most people don't use enough. 1 teaspoon for each uncovered body part is a general rule. For sprays, hold it about an inch away and spray until your skin glistens, then rub it in. For any sunscreen, apply every 2 hours and after you get out of the water. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
We've got some breaking news coming out of Austin from the Texas legislature. Texas lawmakers recommending impeaching Attorney General Ken Paxton. A Republican-led House investigative committee recommending that he be impeached. He is the state's top lawyer, and this is coming after years of scandal and accusations of corruption. In Texas's nearly 200-year history, only 2 officials have been impeached. The State House of Representatives could now hold the vote as soon as tomorrow. And we'll have more, obviously, on this developing story next on the 6 o'clock news. Live look outside with the live cam. We just got shaved by that thunderstorm system that was coming in from North Texas, didn't we?
Yeah, and that's a good way to put it. Just shaved by. And parts of the hill country that really need the rain actually got some decent rain out of it. I showed you those rainfall totals earlier up in parts of the hill country of an inch or more. It's that northwesterly flow aloft you hear us talking about. Can't quite trust it. We get these thunderstorms that organize and then they can head our way. Usually they dissipate, but not always. Now, I want to get to this before we get into our forecast. NOAA released their 2023 Atlantic Basin hurricane forecast, and they give it a 40% chance of a near normal season. That would mean about 12 to 17 named storms, 5 to 9 of which would be hurricanes, major hurricanes, possibly even 1 to 4, and that would be category 3 or greater. So near normal is what odds barely favor at the moment. Okay, previous drought monitor last week. This is what it looks like. The newest drought monitor is in 3, 2, 1. Hey, some improvements. If you want to see it again, here we go. Look at this red area in particular, Hondo to Fredericksburg. That gets shrunken now down to Bandera, Kerrville, Fredericksburg, Blanco. So we're starting to shrink that area of extreme and exceptional drought. That's where we need the rain the most. And actually, it's part of where we got clipped by the remnant thunderstorm this afternoon, just north and west of San Antonio. 42% of Texas considered in drought right now. Big improvement. By the way, coming up at 6, I'll show you the comparison from April 1st until now. That one's great. Mind-blowing. Anyway, storm chances going forward. 0% tomorrow, 0% Saturday. By Sunday, 20% just to cover the off chance of more leftovers making it our way from West Texas or North Texas. And on Monday, Memorial Day, we boosted up to 40% scattered in nature. That does not mean it's going to be all day long. Just for a part of the day, most likely afternoon and evening, we'll have some scattered showers around south and central Texas and a few thunderstorms. But right now, it's not looking like anything severe. So here's the leftovers that moved into the hill country just west of San Antonio. Severe thunderstorm watch in West Texas. We could have more development in North and West Texas, but we don't anticipate it to really organize and come together. But you look at the steering flow aloft and notice how anything that organizes, not the single discrete cells, but anything that organizes in West Texas, New Mexico, or North Texas could be steered our way. And that's what we saw even just yesterday morning. Upper level high, Big Blue H down to the south of us over in Mexico, and that's going to stay there until we get into Monday. In turn, Monday, Memorial Day, we're going to increase those storm chances a little bit because an upper level disturbance is going to swirl overhead. And even the models are picking up on some scattered activity. Again, most likely non-severe showers and thunderstorms. Think of it as maintenance rain for areas that don't have drought. 89, that's the average high. We made it to 84 today. Right now, 80 in Hondo, 77 Kerrville, 79 Rock Springs. Meanwhile, 89 in Cotulla. Big difference because of the clouds that were left over from that remnant thunderstorm. Bandera 73, and officially in town, we're at 84 degrees. But tomorrow morning, we're at 68. A mixture of sun and clouds throughout the day. The fair weather cumulus clouds popping up. 87 our high temperature, a light easterly breeze. I do think we'll make it into the 90s south on I-35 and even west of town closer to the Rio Grande. Carrizo Springs, for example, 92. Meanwhile, Timberwood Park 85 and Elmendorf 87. Through the holiday weekend, mornings in the mid-upper 60s, afternoons in the 80s, and again, Memorial Day, 40% chance. That's the highest chance of the next 7 days.
Thank you so much.
Spurs future already getting a little playoff experience. We like that.
Oh, yeah. He's been doing this overseas for a while now. He's currently in the quarterfinals, and today was game 3. You want to figure out whether or not this kid can perform in a do-or-die environment? We found out today. When we come back, we'll talk about Victor Wembanyama's stellar performance. Plus, Michael Gallup is key for the Cowboys this season. Got that too next. The Spurs' eventual first overall pick, Victor Wembanyama, is still active this summer overseas. His team, Metropolitans 92, played a decisive Game 3 of their playoff series against Cholet Basket. Wemby put up an all-around performance again, scoring 19 points, posting 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks in an 81-69 victory, so the Metropolitans advance to the semifinals, which are also a best-of-3 format.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy has learned his lesson, at least in terms of physical contact during organized team activities. McCarthy was fined last 2 years for having players engage in too much contact. He's not doing that this year, and he fully anticipates never coaching 11-on-11 drills at this time of year ever again, or else Dallas could lose a draft pick for the violation. Now, with on-field work limited to walkthroughs and jog-throughs, players are building back up to full speed slowly. That includes wide receiver Michael Gallup, who enters this year with a clean bill of health. A couple of years ago, he suffered a torn ACL, and this time last year, he couldn't walk. How important is Gallup to the Cowboys this year?
Michael's very important. I think the biggest thing is Michael, and and I know he wants it too. Is he just wants to have a healthy season? He's been through these injuries here, and he looks good. So this is really the first time I think in my time here he's had a full off-season program. Conversations we've had, particularly even with Brian Schottenheimer. Giving him some more opportunities inside, expanding his responsibility in checklist. So, he's been pretty much an exclusive, an ex-receiver here, but, we feel like he can do more.
The Cowboys have 6 more practices and will return to action on May 30th. Gallup only played in 14 games last year. Give him a couple extra, get a full season under his belt. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. The more offensive weapons, the better.
You got it.
We'll be right back.
Next few days looking pretty quiet. Mixture of sun and clouds. Mornings in the 60s, afternoons mid-upper 80s. We get into Sunday, the off chance of a stray shower or thunderstorm. Then Memorial Day up to 40%.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you for watching the News at 5 with us.
World News is next. We'll see you back here for KSAT 12 News at 6.